Hello, my name is Abraham Yael Galavi Cedillo.
Hi, my name is Alberto Hernandez.
Hello, my name is Mónica López Suárez.
Hello, my name is Ernesto.
Good morning, my name is María José Rebolledo Pérez.
Hello, my name is Daniela Rubio.
Speaking of school culture means to analyze the social practices and the environment where they are developed, as well as the actors who participate in them. That is, all those sociocultural relations that emanate from it as a result of the integration of society to an organism whose purpose is the search and construction of learning through its teaching and acquisition. This essay will present the investigation of the school culture based on the analysis and observation of the following four modular axes: the perspective of a school culture, the importance of ethnography as a research method, in addition to the interpretation and study of the contextual framework, and finally, the description of the condition of a school culture and the profile of the observed group.
The school culture. What tell you about the school culture? Since it is of rituals of personal relations, traditions, not that make up moral code, the rituals of those collect attitudes on doing of social interactions that are based and governed by elements of their strength idiosyncrasy, as well as the social practices, a set of attitudes and procedures that people carry on their daily, but in addition to being a way for integrations in society and is head down by cultural, religion, um, language, among other factors. How experimental practices are? It is the process and learning be doing. It is process by which individuals build their own their room and knowledge acquired school and really start belong directly for experience.
Well, for a start this section, what is the meaning of ethnography? Ethnography is a qualitative research method and is the result of the study of individuals and groups for a specific period of time. So, the main sources about ethnography are the interview and participant observation, and it has three very fundamental characteristics. It is phenomenological, that means the relation between this characteristic and the social context. Is holistic and naturalistic, and finally, is based on experience and exploration. There's a series of steps that must be followed to have a very clear understanding about ethnographic research. The first is design selection, and it's important to have in mind what is going to be the main objective. The second is the determination of techniques, and those techniques are interview and participant observation. The third is the access to the research scenario, and this is very important to have the access to the research scenario and make a good ethnographic research. So, for finishing this section, what about ethnographic education? Well, it can be even harder than ethnographic research that we usually do, because in this case, collects information in the everyday classroom that it can be considered sometimes as subjective or irrelevant. Also, and obviously, it depends on the environment in which and every classroom has.
Now we want to talk about the role of the context in the characteristics of school culture. Before we start, it's necessary to understand that if we want to know the context, we need some instruments to know them. Murillo and Martinez, 2010, tell us that as a part of ethnographic methodology, we have some instruments as participant observation and in-depth interview. Those instruments help us to get information. The participant observation and in-depth interview took place on May 6 of this year at 1 p.m. in a virtual classroom and in an English class by Professor Rogelio Giovanni Patiño Barosio. Now, speaking of geographical context, the secondary school Technical 152, Silvano Ánimas Meras, is located in Avenida Tezontle sin número, Barrio El Tepalcate, Chimalhuacán. The most important aspect in this context is that as a security measure, the school has decided that it will be only a morning shift. Now, the social context. The professor tells us that the coexistence between teachers is tormentous. This situation due to the excess of administrative work. Finally, we have the economic context and the educational framework. Related to the economic context, the teacher says that not always the poor connectivity is due to lack of resources. Now, finally, the educational framework. Here, the teacher tells us that he decided to use social media as primary means to communication to the students, especially those who are lagging behind.
This is the analysis of the school group, and to be specific, the description of the conditions of the school culture and the profile of the group. As we have mentioned before, the inquiry process was followed at Technical Secondary School number 152 Silvano Ánimas Meras. The group observed was second grade Group A, led by the English professor Rogelio Giovanni Patiño Barosio. The work began at Platform Zoom, and the meeting had the reason for a review of the topics that the teacher had seen before. Likewise, to resolve any doubts that the students could have at that time. And finally, to solve some short activities in order to get the complete idea of the topic. We have to emphasize that all these activities and all this medium by the teacher was planned before because of pandemic. Teaching a foreign language through virtual media. In this case, we're going to analyze what is the perspective from the teacher and the factors that he had seen during his classes. The first one we need to have in mind are the barriers that he had seen. The first is the number of students that he can see during synchronous classes or the platform Zoom. And the other one is the worrying number of students that has no connection with him, which encourages the evaluation to be adapted with a minimum score. The factor number 2 is the benefit that the teacher has found in online teaching. In order to spread all the information to all his students, the professor has decided to record their sessions and then upload them on a private Facebook group that he administrates, of course, so that the students that could not attend synchronous classes are not setting apart by seeing this class previously recorded. Likewise, coordinators and prefects are given the task to contact those parents whose students is not having a good communication or is null. The third factor is about the resources that are available for the students. The professor mentioned that according to the key learnings, Aprende en Casa 2 is obsolete, so that he included a lot of new material that had been very well responded. The fourth factor is about the context per student that shows a lack of healthy environment. And according to the participation and interaction through students is irregular as well. Now we are going to talk about the process of classroom interaction, and this is the perspective of the observers that we found. The first one is the online classroom interaction, in which we found an interaction and participation natural. And as the teacher mentioned, there is a lack of attendance of about the 0.5% of the students. The number 2 is the efficiency and values in the classroom. For example, the resources are good understanding and well spreading, and the values are based on tolerance, respect, courtesy, and so on. The number 3 is about the interest and motivation, which is partially good. In this case, we have seen that it's increasing due to diverse activities according to the interests of the students, as well as the feedback that increases motivation. The last one is about the evaluation and the school climate. For example, the first one is, as the teachers mentioned, is a challenging process. And among actors that includes directors, coordinators, professors, and so on, the climate is tense, annoying, and overwhelming.
Given the circumstances that the pandemic caused by COVID-19, teachers have been immersed in a new role that never imagined would happen, to bring online teaching for basic education, having to give classes in the virtual modality through a computer or an electronic device, where students are the main recipients of the key knowledge that had been provided face-to-face. Unfortunately, this context didn't allow us to observe physically the school culture on our own. However, the method used, such as participant observation and in-depth interviews through Zoom or Google Meet sessions, allow you to analyze and understand the school culture from another perspective, virtual interaction. Despite all the adversities that teachers have faced in online teaching, their work and effort are evident. They have given the best of them, looking for new learning strategies, constantly innovating their way of teaching, and an endless number of activities that have made them resilient and respectable people in society.